Hello everyone, my name is Asyrafchazz and welcome back to yet another One Piece card game video. Today we're gonna talk about a card with effect that was revealed by the Japanese Twitter page, and it is none other than Sanji himself. We got another Sanji card. This card is actually really useful in the aggressive strategy, so we're gonna talk about this effect and how you would use it in different settings, as well as how it works in tandem with some of the other cards that were revealed so far. If you enjoyed this video, do consider giving it a like and subscribing if you want to keep up to date with more One Piece card game news, because every time you sub, Blackbeard loses another one of his teeth. Alright, without further ado, let's take a look at the Sanji character card from the starter deck. Okay, so here is the card in question. This is the Sanji character card from the Straw Hat Crew starter deck. So Sanji is 2 cost, 4000 power with the striker attribute. He's part of the Straw Hat Crew and his ability is Dawn 2, which means having 2 Dawn cards attached to Sanji, this character card gains Rush. Now we've seen Rush before in the Straw Hat Luffy character card from the starter deck, and I spoke about how I think his ability is really good. Having Rush and having the ability to prevent your opponent from using blockers is exceptional. I talk about it more in his reveal video, links in the description. So let's talk about Sanji this time. So 2 costs is very low. You can get Sanji out really early. 4000, his power is a little bit on the low side, but that can be negated by the effect itself. Now by attaching 2 Dawn cards to Sanji, he gains Rush, which meaning that he can attack on the same turn that he is played. Now in aggressive strategies, you want cards like Sanji. You want to get in early, you want to get in some damage early, and Sanji fills in that role perfectly. Here's an example of how the breakdown of a first turn might go. So imagine if you're the first player in your turn 2, you would have 3 Dawn cards available in your cost area. You play a Sanji, you use your leader's ability to give Sanji a rested Dawn, and then you give the active Dawn to Sanji, and already you're swinging in for 6000 power into your leader. Your opponent has no choice but to take the damage or have to use an effect to kind of buff up the leader's power to prevent the attack, but either way, Sanji has already done its job. Even if the attack didn't go through, having your opponent use cards from their hand to kind of buff up their leader card to prevent damage from this Sanji is, I would consider that an advantage in a different way. And Sanji is really good in tandem with another card that we've seen before, which is Brook. Now imagine you're on turn 2, you're going second. You will have access to 4 Dawn cards on the second turn. You play a Sanji and then you play the Brook card. So Brook's ability is you can grant up to 2 of your rested Dawn cards to a character or your leader, so you can give it to Sanji, and his Rush ability will be online, having him swing in for an attack. I see myself as more of an aggressive player, so when I saw Sanji revealed, I was like, this card is better than it looks. I know it's a weak stat point at being at 4000, you do have to dedicate resources to it to make it have an attack that is higher than your opponent. But the important thing about Sanji is that it has one role only, and it is to go in to attack in the same turn that he's played. So if you're playing Sanji and you manage to attach 2 Dawn to Sanji, giving it Rush and him swinging in to your opponent's leader, that is all Sanji needs to do. Every subsequent turn after that, he gets a little bit weaker. If your opponent doesn't remove Sanji, Sanji still needs an additional Dawn card to attack into your opponent, because your opponent has 5000 power, at least from what we've seen so far. Your opponent's leader only has 5000 power and Sanji only has 4000. So you do need to dedicate resources to Sanji to attack into your opponent's leader successfully. He's only ever good on the turn that he's played, and only if you can get his Rush ability online. If you're playing Sanji and you don't have the resources to give Sanji 2 Dawn cards, then he is essentially just a 2-drop 4000 vanilla, and you don't want that to happen. Make sure that you hold him in your hand until you're ready to play Sanji and give him Rush with the 2 Dawns and attack into your opponent's leader. I mentioned in the previous video talking about ZORO and King that, you know, ZORO wasn't a card that you would like to see in the late game. For Sanji, with the ability to give him Rush, the situation changes a little bit. Imagine if you're just missing one last attack to get into your opponent, then you draw a Sanji and then it's like, oh, suddenly I have an additional attack for the win. And then you play Sanji, and by that point you would have some extra Dawns lying around. You can give it to Sanji, or you can even use your Luffy's leader ability to grant him a rested Dawn, and you can activate Rush and attack in for the kill. Imagine you're holding out on the game where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna have a couple of units on the field, and then you want to go in for a big attack and you suddenly drop, I don't know, like 2 or 3 Sanjis out of nowhere. Imagine if you have 10 Dawn, you can drop 3 Sanjis, you can use your leader ability to give a rested Dawn to one of the Sanjis, and you can dedicate You can allocate all the rest of Dawns respectively so that each of your Sanji cards has 2 Dawn each, and all of them will have Rush. That's an additional 3 attacks right there. Another drawback of Sanji after the turn that he is played is also that he's susceptible to attacks. Being only 4000 power, your opponent has the ability to just attack into him. But that is also another form of advantage. You gotta look at it in the broader sense of the world. Any attack that goes to Sanji doesn't go to your leader, because you're effectively redirecting your opponent from attacking you. They instead attack the Sanji card. Of course, they can choose to ignore it completely, and that's okay, but as long as you have like extra Dawns lying around, you can always buff up Sanji by 1000, you know, maybe even use Jinbei's ability to give Sanji 1000 power to make him an even 5000 and attack into your opponent's leader. So it's a very versatile card, I feel, and I feel like it is better than it looks. And for any kind of red staple aggressive deck, you do want the low cost rush kind of mechanic, because you do want to get in damage early, and you can kind of force an attack in the late game as well. So if anyone is looking for an aggressive card to use, even if you're playing cards for the main set, I think Sanji is a worthy pickup. If you're leaning towards the raid kind of strategies, I really like Sanji, and I'm definitely getting a playset. I already pre-ordered 2 of each of the starter decks, so I'm definitely getting playset of every card from the starter deck, so I'm really excited about that. Now, every raid aggressive player's handbook will definitely say live fast and die young, but you just gotta make sure your opponent dies before you do. So this Sanji card encapsulates that saying perfectly. You just wanna live fast and die young and swing in as fast as you can. Also, I want to take a moment to talk about the ZORO card that we've talked about. I have gone in depth about him in my previous video, ZORO and King. So links in the description below or in the top left hand corner. I just want to mention that Dawns that you attach to your character cards return to the cost area at the start of your next turn during the refresh phase. Even if ZORO doesn't get the additional 1000 power from the Dawn card itself, because Dawn cards only give you 1000 power on your own turn, he still gets an additional power from his ability as long as a Dawn card is attached to him, making ZORO a 6000 power on your opponent's turn, which makes him a little bit more difficult for your opponent to get off the board. So keep that in mind when you're playing the aggressive deck, or if you're planning to pick up the Straw Hat starter deck. That's it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed my kind of breakdown on Sanji. I really am a passionate, aggressive player. Like red deck wins is kind of my jam, and I'm excited to see what I can do with all these card reviews so far. So far, I think Sanji and the 5-drop Luffy character card is my favorite, just because it has a rush on it. The only effects I see that are missing from the Straw Hat starter decks are cards that give you card advantage. You know, maybe like the Nami card effect is when you play it, you're able to draw 1 card or something like that, because with aggressive decks like these, you tend to run out of gas very fast, so you do need some sort of card advantage after that if your opponent is not attacking actively into your life. Can't wait to see what other card reviews there are for the Straw Hat starter deck. Unfortunately, we didn't get Queen today. We got a different card, but I'll talk about the art roundup once we have more cards revealed. But yeah, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you haven't liked this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing if you can. Well, till the next time, I'll see you guys in the next one, and take care of yourselves. Peace.